Welcome to Cine here, where you come for all your media needs. My name is Ray.
It's your boy, Nicky Tay.
And today, we are reviewing Superfly.
Superfly. Trying to get over. Directed by Director X, starring Trevor Jackson. Here we have Superfly. You know, the remake of the 1972 classic. I can hear Curtis Mayfield playing at this very moment. But now we have Youngblood Priest in a modern age. Not the days of afros and bell-bottoms and Cadillacs. And now we're in the era of lean, Lamborghinis, and skinny jeans. Taking the location from Harlem to Atlanta. I mean, it is perfect place to do a reboot and a reimagining of this film.
And let me start off by saying, Trevor Jackson did a good job at playing Superfly.
Whew, was he super duper fly?
He was just as good, almost as good as the original.
If we do this, there's no going back.
Never was.
It's almost like he was Superfly in another life.
Ooh, I can feel Ron O'Neal would be very happy if he were able to see this movie.
Yes, but he is no Ron O'Neal. He is no OG. Ron O'Neal will always be the original. But Trevor Jackson is definitely a good remake.
So the story of Superfly focuses on Priest, played by Trevor Jackson, of course, who is already an established drug dealer trying to make his way out of the game. It is a typical gangster movie, wrapped in all of the suave and debonair you would expect from something called Superfly.
Superfly.
Now, as my co-host already said, Trevor was no Ron O'Neal, but he definitely was entertaining to watch. The movie itself is very entertaining, but is it really good? Well, this is the moral dilemma I'm having with the film, if you see. The original Superfly is meant to be a blaxploitation film. During the time, again, this is the 1970s, it was not a lot of African Americans on the big screen. And although the original film promotes things such as drugs, violence, and prostitution, it was inspiring for so many African Americans who lived in that lifestyle, who knew it, to see a character portrayed that looked like them, that did the things they did, and was essentially them on the big screen.
Stick to the plan.
What plan? We black men ain't nowhere safe.
Now, this is where the issue is, because it is 2018. You know, we have already had a black president. We have essentially, in my opinion, excelled past the point of needing to see gangsters, pimps, thugs be our superheroes on the big screen. Well, that might become, you know, a deeper debate, but that is the real issue of Superfly, is that it is promoting out-of-date topics that are relevant for its AA primarily based viewers.
Now, I absolutely agree with my co-host, but I also absolutely disagree with my co-host.
Who?
And this is why. Because just like back in the past, in 1972, when they first released this movie, Superfly in 2018 modernized it, and they made it look like some of the people that we have grew up with, minus the hairstyle that Priest wore in this film. But we still go through that same stuff to this day. We still have drug dealers. We still have pimping. We have all that to this day. So as long as I don't see a lot of films going in this direction, I don't mind it being one or two every year or so. Because I definitely do want to see the other side of the black experience.
And that is a well-made point. Again, it is still realistic. There are still African Americans living this lifestyle, but again, for the average consumer who will go and see this movie, I think it's just a bit out of touch, which also factors into how I view the movie. Now, let's get into why we're really here. Is the movie good? I would say yes. The movie doesn't do anything great. It doesn't disappoint. If you know what Superfly is, you are getting Superfly. It is almost a shot-for-shot remake of the original film. But the biggest disappointment with the film, and this is outside of the acting, outside of what the director could have done, is the soundtrack. And that is just unfortunate for a film that is known to have one of the most, arguably, the classic of classics when it comes to soundtracks. What Curtis Mayfield did in revolutionizing, and even some may say starting, the soul genre is not replicated here by what Future did in producing a soundtrack for Superfly. It is the same old Atlanta sound that you can hear at KOD right now if you go to the clubs. It is something that will be forgotten, and it ultimately does a disservice to the remake of the classic.
And I somewhat agree with that point as well. They tried to modernize it, and they didn't do a good job at capturing the soul that the original Superfly had in the soundtrack. But what I can say is one thing they did capture is the swag, the bravado, the clean cut. Fresh, so clean. They got that right. It was lavish. It was luxurious. I wanted to be in the movie, even if I could have just been an extra, just so I can swag up like they did.
But in addition to capturing the essence of Superfly, they also gave what I would say is serviceable or very good acting. We've already talked about Trevor Jackson, but Jason Mitchell, who most of you would remember from Straight Outta Compton, who played Eazy-E, did a great job as well. Michael Williams was also in this film. He did a great job. Everybody plays their role and they play it well.
Now, if I had to give any negative to this movie outside of the few that we already talked about, I definitely would say at times in this movie there were very over-the-top scenes and sometimes even silly. And that took away from, I think what makes Superfly, the original, so well done. It was because it felt more serious, I guess, in the moment. And this movie did feel serious, but there were times where it was a little bit over the top, and there was times where I didn't take stuff as serious.
I think for me, when it comes to rating this movie, I kind of almost have to separate it from the original. And I have to just look at Superfly 2018 in its moment. And for me, this is a movie that is fly, but not super fly. I would have to give this movie a flat 7. To the point that you just made, there were some parts that were a little bit silly, but at its core, you get what you expect. You get a African-American man in the drug game trying to make his way out, and you can't fault a brother for that.
I tried to put on my flies clothes that I had, put on my fake jewelry that looked absolutely phenomenally real, but I still didn't come close to the original just like this movie. But I'm not trying to say that the movie wasn't good, because just like Nikki Tate said, sometimes you just have to separate it from the original. And if I do so, this movie does go up a tad in my rating listing. I probably will have to leave this movie off with a 7.25, slightly above Nikki Tate. And I think that is just because that movie was so swaggy. I love the clothes. I love the bravado. I love that gangster stuff. I really do. So I love seeing it on the big screen. And that might be why I edged it out with that 0.25. It might have got that just a little extra 2.5 because of what it did for me in the movie theaters. So I definitely think this is a movie that is worth checking out if you have the time, because The Incredibles is out. So if you have the time, I would definitely say this movie is worth checking out. It's not the greatest piece of art that you would see on the screen, but I think it did the original good enough.
That completes the review of Superfly. Again, it is at its core an entertaining movie. Is it the best movie of the year? No, but it definitely isn't the worst. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you felt about Superfly.
Superfly.
And make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell as well to stay up to date with all of our reviewing content. And as always, don't forget, you've seen it here. Superfly.
My name is Ray.
It's your boy, Nikki Tate.
And today,
afros and bell bottoms and Cadillacs, but in the era of Molly and Lexuses.
Oh, you
I ain't
sure?
have a third one. I ain't have a third one. I ain't have a third one. What you want me to say?
I do want to see the other side of the black
Experience.
Oh,
I got you.
Oh, okay. Put on my fake jewelry that looks absolutely phenomenally real. But I still didn't come close to the original, just like this movie.
And as always, don't forget, you've seen it here. Salud.
I keep trying to show these things out.